Candor is about being really clear. Clear with your team about what you expect, clear with your clients about what you can deliver, and clear about what you don't know yet. And it's hard to walk a line here, right? So we have access to more media and more information than we've ever had. And so as you think about looking at all of our different input sources, it can be hard to be clear with people. It can be hard to know what to say. And so I'd offer you a couple of questions. The first is thinking about your team. When they're working flexibly, do you expect them to keep the same hours? How available do you expect them to be? We've all got kids and pets and people who don't normally come to work with us. Do you expect them to be open to having a kid walk through the background? Or is that different? What about the goals you put out there for this year? Are they the same? Have they changed? What happens if somebody in their family gets sick? How do you expect them to handle that? This may feel like a lot of overwhelming questions, but they're things for you as leader to think about. Have you been clear? Candor is so important in crisis because not only does it remove confusion, but often people need to hear you more clearly than they do in everyday operations. Think about all the things that are on your mind right now. Those of you who have children at home, those of you who have parents or loved ones in particularly sensitive groups, those of you who are trying to figure out how you're going to get different deliveries, or trying to figure out how you can work while not going mad at home, those of you who are worried about the stock market. We all have all of this stuff on our head, and it's like the volume has been turned up. Spinal Tap fans, the volume's at 11, right? Really high. And so leaders have to be in a place where they are speaking candidly because their message has a lot of background static happening. So for you, as you're moving through with your team, you want to say things clearly that perhaps you didn't say before. Like, it's okay for us to talk when you're not in full office dress on Zoom. You might assume everybody knows that, but being clear about it can help. You want to be clear with your clients too on what you can deliver. You may be able to deliver more in this environment. You may have expertise that allows you to give gifts to the world and bring forward strengths in a different way that your clients need to know about. Or you may be able to deliver less. If your work relies on you being on site, you may not be able to move at the pace you were before. And making sure that people understand that and understand it early enough so that they can adjust will go a long way towards building trust. The final one is really hard, and it's about being clear about what you don't know yet. And so that might be, I don't know what the impact will be on our staff. Here's what I know about this week. Or I don't know how long we're going to be working in an office social distancing versus working from home. It's okay to not know these things. What builds trust is to tell people you don't know. If you're debating between two things, you can say, I'm considering these two options. Here's how I'm thinking about making that decision. But you want to be really transparent with your teams because your teams will need to hear from you in a way that they can easily understand. So candor is the first competency that really matters for leaders in crisis. And I want to point out one small distinction here. Socially, when we think about candor, we worry that it's rude, that it's somehow not nice to tell somebody really plainly what we think. And what I would argue, and I'm joined by Dr. Brene Brown in this, she made this famous in one of her recent publications, but we want to think about that we're not focused on being nice. Nice is about everybody avoiding discomfort. We're focused on being really kind to each other, on giving each other the information we can, and being really honest and transparent. And so when in doubt, when you're thinking about what to communicate to your team, to your clients, or to others involved, you want to think about, what's the kindest thing I can do here? What's the kindest way to be honest with them so that they can make their decisions as well? And that's how you strike a balance between over communicating and telling everybody everything that you've ever thought on the topic and inciting worry and concern. That's not kind. And under communicating or avoiding a difficult message. So candor is the first competency that leaders need to really focus on in crisis. I'm going to give you a minute now and have you think about what it is you need to do next with regards to candor. And there are 3 points of consideration here. We scheduled this specifically for 45 minutes to give you a little bit of a time at the top of an hour to work through what you've learned for yourself and make a leadership plan. But one of the questions I would have you take away from this portion is to think about, what do you need to be candid about and with whom right now? What's a message you should send so that whoever it is who needs to hear it is better prepared and better informed? So I'll give you a second either to jot the question or jot some ideas. But when we think about candor and being really clear, I'd like you to jot for yourself what comes up for you that you'd like to do after this session. Take just a couple of seconds and jot down that information.